Thank you for joining this exciting webinar as we begin to get you in the right mindset in preparing for a successful semester. Before we get started, my name is Dr. Takima Dorsey, and I am going to encourage you to go grab a paper or a pen, open up note section on your phone or your laptop, and get ready to capture information that's going to really lead to a wonderful and dynamic semester as you learn and grow who you are, what you want, and closing the gap in a step-by-step process of identified for success. In this webinar, we're going to cover welcoming you back to a successful semester, setting the tone, establishing goals, tapping into resources, remaining focused, and a call to action to get you on your way. Welcome back. You've made it. Of the million of people across the world, you have decided not to talk about it, but to be about it. And what you're being about right now is taking that first step into a new semester of the unknown. So welcome back to the beginning of a new phase and level in your life, whether it be undergraduate, graduate, high school, middle school, PhD program, it doesn't matter. Welcome back for making your dream a reality. And while this presentation is really focused on those that are in higher education, if you happen to be a student that is in a K-12 form, imagine yourself and still apply what's being identified to your current scenario so that you can get yourself in the right mindset as you prepare for a successful year as opposed to a successful semester. Now, you're fresh off of summer break or winter break or fall break or spring break, and you're now going from unstructured to structured. You're going from dependency to interdependency or being independent. You're going from simplicity to complexity and from complexity back to simplicity. And all of this is only going to come true if you get your mind right and you start making and taking actionable steps that are realistic and that make sense. The scariest thing about going out on your own and no longer having a person hovering over you is that it's your mirrored image. Who you see and what you see, is it working or not? And going from unstructured to structured all depends on how you manifest your day. Going from being dependent to being independent will only be successful if you're crafting that pathway for success. It sounds good in theory, but in reality, it can be very overwhelming. But by the end of this dynamic webinar, you will have tools to help you be successful as you're getting in the right mindset for success. Step one is setting the tone. When you're able to set the tone for a successful venture, starting with the mind, then through behavior, last through action, then you're moving in the right step to be successful in having your goals being met and achieving your accomplishments that you have put in front of you. College life. Woo! You've made it. You've taken on this journey. You're excited. You're attending school, whether it's in-state or out-of-state or multi-state or just across the world. But guess what? You've made it. You've made the choice. And with that excitement comes anxiety, frustration, uncertainty, overwhelmed, flustered. I mean, you could be all over the place. You're filled with anxiety and you have stressors. You are now attending class and you're not quite sure where to begin or how to take the complex things that are happening in your world, internal and external, and streamlining it. You might be a little homesick. You may not want to let people know that you're feeling vulnerable. You haven't identified how and what's the best way to study. You're trying to develop relationships and friendships without losing who you are. All of these things are normal. So I want you to stop for a second and breathe. I'm going to count down from 5 to 1. And I want you to inhale. 5, 4, release a little. 3, blow it out. 2, and 1. Whew. Man, you just let a whole load off because guess what? College life is meant to be exciting, but it can be a little scary if you're not in the right mindset. Setting the tone. College life is here. I have 2 college students right now, ages 16 and 18, that are currently away, 12 hours away from home at school. They are currently juniors right now. And whether you are a freshman or a sophomore or a graduate student or a PhD student or a junior or a senior, being able to set the tone is being able to look at your long-term goals and work back to your short-term goals in a visual pictation. And in this image, you're seeing fall of 2024, spring of 2025, fall of 2025, and spring of 2026, because for my juniors, they have 4 semesters and they're out of here. They're finito, they're done. And for them, like you, that is overwhelming and very realistic. So how do you begin to take where you are and where you want to go and close those gaps? Create a visual image of to keep in mind as to what you're working towards as you're scaling it back, taking it one step at a time. So while this is 2024 in the fall, they're beginning the start of their junior year. The spring, it will be the second semester of their junior year. This time next year, they'll be in their senior year, which is fall of 2025. And that spring, they're done. Spring of 26, they are now on to graduation. Yay! But let's back it up. Where are you in this journey? Are you a junior? Are you a senior? Are you a freshman? Are you a transfer student as you're in between freshman, sophomore, junior, senior? Wherever you are, create that visual image so you are looking to see, I have 4 semesters, 8 semesters, 20 semesters, 12 semesters, whatever the case might be, so that you can visualize yourself getting to the finish line of graduation. Because that is a huge, monumental accomplishment that only you have it within your grasp to make it reality. Getting in that mindset of preparing for success offers you the opportunity to look at visually where you are, where you want to be, and how you close that gap. So setting that tone from a visual image will definitely help to make a difference. Now, you're back on campus, you're excited, you're overwhelmed, you're trying to make all these things work. You're looking at the visual of where you are to where you want to go. Now you're breaking it down from the macro to the micro, from a 12-year to a monthly, from a monthly to the weeks, from 7 days to each day. And now, what do? How do you begin to manifest in your mind to develop a plan and a process that is going to work for you? First and foremost, as a college student, the number one thing that you must embrace and pick up right away is your syllabi. Yes, whether you're taking whether you're a part-time student taking less than 12 credits or a full-time student taking 12 credits or more. And in some institutions, full-time equates to 14.5 credit hours. How many credits you're taking or how many classes doesn't matter. What you need to do for each class in getting your mindset right is first and foremost, read the syllabus. From the syllabus, I want you to pull 5 key things other than just reading the content. One will be your professor's name, the professor's phone number, the professor's email address, the professor's office hours, and the professor's preferred method of contact. Professor's name, email, phone number, office hours, and preferred method of contact. That is important to pull from the syllabi in addition to the professor's preferences and content, so that if you run into anything, you have an immediate method of outreach. And when that happens, you're getting in a mindset of opening up that communication, knowing what the expectations are, so that if you run into a concern or a problem, you're on it. Oftentimes, students may omit reading a syllabus because they think that all of the syllabi are the same. That is an epic failure in thinking. So, by setting the tone and getting in the right mindset to prepare for a successful semester, read the syllabus and pull those 5 things from the syllabi right away. Making the grades. Oh, this is so important. No longer in high school, now in college or graduate school, you want to strive for A's or B's. But you're probably thinking, but a C is passing. Yes, a C is passing. Unfortunately, a D isn't, but a C is barely making the grade. When you're thinking in the sense of being competitive and maintaining continuity and showing your excellence, A's and B's are what you want to strive for, because those A's and B's will protect your GPA. GPA stands for grade point average. And the grade point average is highly significant in college because it is the driving force behind scholarship criteria and application and qualifications. The GPA is a driving force for most companies that are looking for interns and externships. In addition, if you are on a scholarship being awarded by your institution, you must protect your grade point average to not fall below a certain grade point average threshold, which goes back into making the grade. B's in every subject is an automatic 3.0, no matter how you look at it, unless it is a 4-credit course. However, if you make all B's in a C, you're now most likely dropping below that 3.0 threshold. Below a 3.0 threshold will automatically, in some cases, eliminate you from scholarship opportunities, internship opportunities, externship opportunities, and last but not least, it could lead you to being on academic probation if you were awarded an institutional scholarship. So, read the syllabi, make the grades, striving for A and B's, and protect your GPA. Be on time for class. That is so important, because although it's only a college course, that college course is equated to showing up for work in the real world. And once you drop your defenses and become lackadaisical in efforts, and one lateness leads to another lateness, which leads to another lateness, then you're developing a negative pattern for destruction. And that's what you don't want, regardless if it's your first semester in college or grad school, or if it's your last semester in college or grade school. Communicate daily. Creating a community strategy for success is the epitome of leadership, and ensuring that you are not running into any rough patches along the way. So communicate mainly, and this focus is really on your professors, or it's for your professors. So each of your professors have a unique manner in which they prefer you to communicate with them. Some will be via text message, some might be office hours, some might be school emails, some might be a personal email. Whatever the case might be, learning and creating a communication strategy will ensure that you remain on top of your game, so that you're not assuming anything as it relates to your studies, as you're making a grade, protecting that grade point average. So communication is key, and there are a variety of ways in communicating when it comes to working with individuals. And so learning and keeping that in the forefront is important. And I'll use an example later on. Don't miss a class. It's just like missing a day of work. When you miss a class in college, it's like missing a whole week. You can't afford to miss a class, let alone multiple classes, because then you're not getting the knowledge and the content needed to be successful. And that is what you have to be mindful of, because in college, your semester is literally only 12 to 18 weeks, depending on your college format. And during that time, any one class miss could really set you back tremendously. And again, equate your college experience to your job upon graduation. Being on time for classes, being on time for work. Communicating daily with your professors is communicating daily with your employer. Not missing a class is equated to not missing a day of work. Schedule study time. This is so important. The philosophy is, for every 1 3-credit class, you should have 4 to 6 hours of study time scheduled in. So if you're taking 16.5 credit hours, which could be roughly around 5 or 6 classes, then for each class, you should be scheduling 4 to 6 hours of study time per day. And if you have multiple classes in a day, then you're doubling the study time. That is critically important, because when you're studying the content, the goal is not to simply read it, but to absorb it, understand it, digest it, and put it in a manner that makes sense to you and understanding. But if study time is not scheduled, by the time midterms come around, unfortunately, you might be at a point of dropping a class or not being able to pull out a successful grade. Find a study buddy. Study buddy. And then finding a study buddy, you have multiple ways in finding a study buddy. One, you want to find a study buddy in your major. You want to find a study buddy in the course that is toughest that you're taking. Calculus, chemistry, English for some people. Find a study buddy that you can learn from and teach and gain confidence as you're going through the course, and you're also being able to bounce ideas off of that is going to lead to success. And last but not least, take charge. Don't allow any one of the above fall through the cracks, because when you get to the level of being in college or even grad school, you are the maker and shaker. You are leading the charge to your own life. So in summary, getting in a right mindset and preparing for a successful semester as you're setting a tone requires you, as the leader of your own destiny in your own life, to read that syllabus, make the grade, protect your grade point average, be on time for class, Develop a communication strategy for success. Don't miss a class. Schedule study time and find a study buddy. Then you're on your way, not just being successful for a semester, but for your complete educational endeavor in preparing for the transition in the real world. Establishing goals. Goals are great to establish whether you meet them or not. Because every goal that we set out to have and want in life, unfortunately, we might not achieve it. However, what does happen is that we grow through the process as a person, internally and externally, leadership. So establishing goals allow us to think and grow outside the box. It allows us to navigate through pathways we didn't see coming. It become a aha moment, as well as protecting us from pathways or goals that weren't really realistic for us. And in doing that is the establishment of SMART goals. And SMART goals stand for specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. And SMART goals give you a direction of where you are and where you want to go, and it helps you to create a process and pathway to help you organize and reach those goals. Specific goals are well defined and clear. Measurable goals allow you to measure your progress towards your accomplishment of that goal. Attainable goals are ones that are not impossible to achieve. Realistic goals are things within your reach that you can really see it, but you got to kind of maneuver and go around and go up a hill and under the ground and dig a hole and come back and boom, there it is. Like graduating from college in 4 years or 4.5 years, or accomplishing that doctoral goal or obtaining your master's, or most importantly, showing up each day. And timely, any goal set, you want to make it realistic. More than often, goals are set within a 30, 60, or 90-day timeline. Being in college, unfortunately, you don't have beyond 90 days because that's within that 12 to 18 window. So whatever goals you set for a semester, they are attainable and realistic if you set it accordingly to what you want, all A's, all B's, B, C's, A, B, and C, or an internship or whatever. Give it a timely end goal from which you're striving for. Now, here's the part that I absolutely love the most. When you're envisioning your college semester, it's really broken down into 3 parts. Part A, Part B, and Part C. Did you know that? I know, right? So exciting. Part A, Part B, and Part C encompasses a semester, successful or not. Now, when we further break it down, it's broken down into 3 parts. Part A would be before midterm, Part B would be midterms, and Part C is that road to finals. Now, in Part A, which is where you are right now, you're fresh off of summer break, or you're fresh off that winter break, and you're trying to, again, go from unstructured to structured, from being dependent to independent. You're trying to reduce the complexity and stress and anxiety. And so now you're trying to figure out how you're going to make it to midterms successfully. Now is the time to establish SMART goals. Goals that will allow you to do a pulse check at midterm, whether you're on path for success or you've fallen 24 feet deep, or you're at that pivot point that it can go either way. Because here's the reality of Part A to B. Before midterms to midterms. Midterms are coming whether you like it or not. And if you put some of the things that we talked about in practice, like the communicate daily and read your syllabi and focus on your grades and protecting the grade point average and not missing a class and showing up on time and finding a study buddy and incorporating studying time in, then your midterms are going to be on point. But then again, if you don't put those things into practice, by midterm, you might be considering dropping a course. Or you might see that your letter grade is an F, because it happens. Although D is a final, you can get an F in college. And right around that midterm point is you now also, as you're heading to the road to finals, you're going to be bombarded with registration for the next semester. Keep that in mind. At midterm, not only will it be a measurement of how you're currently doing for your current semester, you're now going to be encompassed or charged with selecting courses for the next semester. And at that time, you have to do a reality check. Am I doing well? Do I need to drop this course? Do I need to re-register for it? Am I on track for graduation? Am I repeating a course? All these things that are leading back to a headache. You have the opportunity and the blessing to eliminate the headache by getting your mind right for a successful semester by setting SMART goals. And so right around midterm, once you get past that in the registration and the drop phase or the withdrawing, it's the road to finals. And the road to finals is just as scary as the road to midterms. But again, all these things are within your grasp as you're establishing goals and using the SMART method. Now, when you're thinking about establishing specific goals, I want you to think of the 5 W's, the who, what, when, where, and why. And establishing and asking yourself these 5 W's will allow you to create the specific goal that will be realistic. So, for example, it's Sunday. You know that you have to-do lists, things you want to do, things that are in front of you, there are tests and grades and projects due. Set specific goals for that week. As a student, you don't have class Saturday and Sunday, so Monday through Friday, which you may not have class every day, set a specific goal for that week. For example, I'm going to use my calendar all week. I'm going to fill my calendar with my test dates. My goal is to get up at 6 o'clock each morning to pray or to study or to get in some me time, some meditation. That's a specific SMART goal. And as you're looking at the 5 W's, it's going to allow you to create specific goals that can now be measurable. And when you're thinking about measuring your specific goals, I want you to think about how much or how many, and if you're able to reach your goal realistically. If I'm setting a goal on Sunday to get up at 6 o'clock each day that week, I can measure my goal, because if I get up at 6:01, I didn't meet it. But if I get up at 5:59 or even at 6 o'clock, I can now look back at the end of the week over those 5 days that I've met my goals successfully. So something that is measurable will now also lead to identifying the indicator of your progress. What worked? What didn't work? What do you need to go back to revamp for the second week? Or are you on a momentum high? And what resources did you use? If I'm setting a goal of getting up at 6 a.m. each day, am I using an alarm clock? Is the alarm clock on? Am I using my phone? Can I use the alarm clock and the phone for the ringer to go off? Do I need more than one reminder? Do I need the clock, the phone, the ringer, and a person calling me, or a person coming to my door knocking, wake up, right? What tools are you using to as an indicator of progress to see if you're reaching your goals. And then, are these goals that you set that are specific and measurable, are they achievable? We just talked about the resources and the capabilities, or that you're using to reach your SMART goals or not. What if you don't have a roommate? What if you're not at home with your parents and you're on campus? What if you haven't found your tribe in order for them to wake you up, and they're probably thinking you've grown now, wake your own self up? So what do you have within your grasp to make it reality, right? Again, using the example of getting up at 6 a.m., alarm clock and phone. Alarm clock, phone, something else. Who knows? Figure out what you have within your reach, what you're missing, and also do a pulse check. Who has also had a goal of getting up on time? What did they use? So now you're doing the research side to figure out what has been done successfully before to make it your own. That is the beauty of all of this, is that you are creating the pathway to success. Getting in the right mindset and preparing that failure is not an option, right? Cool. Now you specified your goals, you measured your goals, you're identifying whether it's achievable or not. Now the goal is it realistic? Yes, if I'm setting a goal of getting up at 6 o'clock each morning for the next week, that is realistic for me because I'm only looking at 5 days. And I'm looking at the time and the resources that I need to make it work. And guess what? Even if I only make it 4 out of the 5 days or 3 out of the 5 days, to me, that's successful. Because the week prior, I didn't get up at 6 o'clock at all. But what it would also tell me is that if I don't make it all 5 days, maybe I need to pull back and make the next week go 3 days or 4 days, right? So asking yourself, is the goal set realistic? And what resources that you have or people that can help you make it realistic? And then finally, are you able to commit to making the goal achievable? Yes, for me, 5 days is something that's realistic for me. Now, if I just said 30 days, yeah, not so much. I'm going to fall. I can already tell you that because that's just, I'm not there yet. If I could do it that easily, it wouldn't be a goal. I would just be simply doing it. So breaking it down from the macro to the micro, from the big picture to the small picture, making it really realistic and with a time that makes sense is going to make things more comfortable. So adding a deadline that makes sense. 5 days for me with a new goal makes sense. Because now I'm only going off for week 1. And I'm only saying Monday through Friday. I'm not saying Saturday and Sunday. And why is it important for me to set this deadline and make that my goal? Because I'm an early riser. I don't do things late at night. So understanding the intentional purpose behind your setting these goals will go a very long way. Now that we welcome back, you setting the tone, you're establishing your goals. Now it's time to tap into those resources that you may not have thought about before that can not only help you with your personal goals, but also your academic and professional goals so that you can not only get in the right mindset, but be successful this semester. First and foremost, a lot of students, or if you are a student that has a disability and have accommodations, the number one resource in your arsenal should be your campus disability support center. In the disability support center, there are individuals, whether it's a small team or a large team with extended support that's there to focus on you and to ensure that your accommodations for that semester is being implemented. Now, here's the catch though. While the Disability Support Center is a resource, it does not take away your responsibility and advocacy to ensure that your accommodations are being implement it the way they supposed to, because you remain the advocate. The Disability Support Center remains your support resource. All right? So keep that in mind. Your academic chairs, plural, because as a student, you have a major and you might have a minor. So your academic chair of your major is a resource. If you have a minor, the academic chair of the minor is a resource. And in addition to the chair of your major or minor is the dean of that college or that subdivision that your major falls under. So these individuals are there for you. But your job, as you're leading yourself through this process and getting in a right mindset, is that they're there to help me in the best interest of me growing personally and professionally. So make sure you connect. Professors by course. Each professor that you have is a resource, even if you've had them before. If you're taking 20 credits and that's 8 teachers or 9 teachers, including a lab, that's 8 or 9 more resources. And here's the thing where most students don't think about it. They're not only your professor, they are professionals. They have networks. Your network is your net worth, right? So these professors that you are blessed to be in their course has a entourage of people and experiences and resources they're ready to connect you with. But you have to make the first step. Don't look at your professor as just a person that's teaching me something boring. No, this is a resource that I need to develop a relationship with and to tap into because they have knowledge and experience I don't that will be helpful for me and that I can learn and grow from. So, Disability Support Center, academic chair, major, minor, dean, and your professors by course. Then on-campus mentors are also resources. You might have to reach out and create a mentor or seek out a mentor, but there are mentors that are available. In key areas to find mentors in, or a criteria, I should say, are people that are willing to listen to you, that are transparent and honest, and that you feel have your best interest. Now, that's going to take some discernment over what a mentor is and how you define it, but find a mentor on campus. Someone that you know that will have your back, even if you're not having a bad day, that you can go celebrate with, and that really is interested in you as a person. And then there's your industry chairs are resources. Now, if my son is majoring in computer science and he's an honor student, because he's coming in with so many credits because he's earned his associate's degree at the local community college, most of his professors in his major he won't see because he came in with a plethora of foundational courses. Nevertheless, every professor that falls under that major is a resource for my son because they are industry experts that can help him in his field as he goes through computer science into computer engineering and then filtering out from there. So the moral of the story for this resource is that even if it's a professor that is not even if it's a person that's not your professor, befriend individuals within your major and minor because they are resources for you. Whew, we covered a lot. Man, is your head spinning? Is your hand hurting? Did you just simply stop typing because you're just overwhelmed? Guess what? Great. The whole goal in this is to help you to remain focused. Because being on a college campus, close to home, away from home, or even if you're commuting, could easily lead to you losing focus. And your number one goal in seeking higher education is to come out on the other side of success. Even if it might take a semester or two beyond the normal, or you're completing your degree earlier than expected. Your goal, your number one goal when you step foot on that campus and go into your first course is to remain laser focused, because anything from being laser focused could lead to negative impact. And when you have distractions and complexity and failing grades and all these other things, it can impact your status as a college student. It can impact your um, your finances and remaining financially eligible. It can impact scholarships. It can impact relationships. It has all of these negative ripple effects, which is why this presentation is being shared to keep you in not just getting in the right mindset, but remaining in the right mindset to remain focused. Now, it's easier said than done. So let's cover some expectations you should have for yourself to keep in a forethought of your minds and your action that's going to evoke behavior for positive versus negative. Number one, remember the reason why you're there. If you're going to party and party in the middle of the week or party hard, stay home. That is not why you have taken out a loan or wrote those many thousands of scholarship applications to only be awarded less than 1%, and you want to keep it, or people investing in you, or your parents taking out loans for you not to remember why you're there. So for you, like your parents or your guardians have already told you, remember the number reason why you're there: to get an education, to grow, to tap into the leadership, to graduate and be successful in life, right? Simple. Number two, don't embarrass yourself. And we know what that looks like. Remember, be mindful of what shows up on social media. We have seen, and I'm pretty sure you have too, people have been awarded scholarships and full rides, and something crazy showed up on social media and it was all taken away in the blink of an eye. Don't embarrass yourself. You know how your parents raised you. You know right from wrong. You know what you should be involved in, what you shouldn't be involved in. And also remember, you are just not representing yourself. You're representing your family. So don't embarrass yourself. Number two, be respectful. That means that even if every other word comes out your mouth is a cuss word because you think that's the coolest way to express yourself, boom, don't do it. Be respectful to yourself first. And if you don't know what that means, take a moment and digress. What does it mean to be respectful? That means not jumping off, not popping off, not cussing people out, not having your facial looking X, Y, and Z, not cussing, none of that. Be respectful. Explore what that means if you're uncertain. And when you learn to respect yourself, you'll learn to respect others. But here's also the caveat. You don't have to like a person to respect them. I'm going to let that marinate for a second. As I move on, stand for something. Everything that looks good to you isn't good for you. Sometimes you must say no. No means, nah, I'm good. You go ahead. I got you. Case in point, I spoke to my son, the 16-year-old, that's a junior at his school, and there are parties on the first day of school in the middle of the week. School started on a Wednesday. So I asked my son last night, he was having a conversation with a new associate, and I said, did you go to any parties, any gatherings? And he said, Mom, I was just talking to a friend of mine that was in the background. I could hear the conversation about that. And we're like, why would you go to a party in the middle of the week? It's the first day of class. I got school tomorrow. Then his friend chimed in, his associate chimed in and said, yeah, I could see if it was a Saturday or maybe a Friday, that would make sense, but we got to get up the next day. My son came back and ended the conversation and saying, Mom, today in computer science, one of the students was asleep in class. Case in point. So for my son and his new associate, they stood for saying, I wanted to go, but not right now. I'm okay with not being part of the crowd. I'm going to leave that there. Call home once a week. Why should you call home once a week when you ran Oh, you wanted to get away? Because two reasons. One, it's a mental health check for you and your parents. But on top of that, it's letting you know that you're not by yourself, that you're not alone, that your parents are still there to support as much as they can. And guess what? They're the wisest people that you'll ever run into. And guess what? They got your back. Unforgiving, right? They are always having your back no matter what's happening. And for two, it's good to know that you can talk to someone that you can trust. So call home once a week. Be early to appointments, including class. Don't be on time because on time is late. Be early, even if you're the only person or the first person in class and ready to go. Because those professors will one day ask for a letter of recommendation. And if you're late or barely there, or if you're showing up and you're asleep and you're on your phone, do you think you're going to get a letter of recommendation that's positive? Absolutely not. So be early to appointments, including class. Don't make excuses. Don't make excuses as to why not and what didn't go wrong or what didn't work. Sorry. If it's within your grasp, if this is on your to-do list, if you made a goal, if this is what you know need to be done, even if others are involved, your job is to make it work. That's the beauty of growth and development in higher education. Think outside the box. Don't make excuses, especially when it comes down to grades and everything else. Remember your home training. So this is even more important because as a college student, you more than likely are not in a room by yourself. You got a roommate, and in some cases, 2 to 3 roommates, right? So remembering your home training, your parents told you get up on Saturday and clean your room, take a bath every day, at least every other day, wash your clothes, clean the bathroom, clean your room, which means vacuuming, changing your bedding, not smelling. All of these things are falling back into remembering your home training. Remember, your roommate is there just like you. And if you're not maintaining things as they should be, also know that you can be removed from your dorm from a lack thereof. So remember what you were taught at home. And if you're not quite sure how to make it work, on that call home once a week, ask for help. Hey, I need help for this. You got any pointers, right? Become the researcher. Work on your communication. We talked about developing a communication strategy, and I'm going to do a webinar on that really soon, so stay tuned. Working on effective ways to communicate is detrimental to your success. It is vital, like waking up in the morning. Work on honesty. Listen, everything that you set out to do won't always come to fruition the way you want, but finger pointing and blaming others is not it. Be honest with yourself. Be honest with that mirror image you see every day on who you are, what worked, what didn't. Work on leadership. Everything about this webinar is leadership. It is all starting from you, the person. And then from there is a spider web, right? So work on your leadership skills, traits, abilities. Even if you've never been in a leadership position, your first position in introduction leadership is who you are, what you want, and how you're going to make it work. Period. Work on your time management and organization. Everything about what you're running into when we talk about that complexity and making it simple, unstructured to making it structured, going from dependent to independent, all comes down into how you balance your time, your resources, your activity, and all of those things. So that falls under the category of time management and organization. And guess what? Don't be afraid to be alone. The greatest leaders in the world stand alone. They're not moving with the crowd or the semester or the season. Sorry. They're not moving fall, spring, winter, snow, sleet, hail. They're like, I'm cool. I'm all right. And sometimes when you're alone, you can hear yourself more clearly in what you want. Don't go off campus unless notify home first. Why? I know you're probably sitting there like, I know she just didn't write this. Yes, I did. And I'm mentioning it for the simple reason of safety. Your parents, your guardian, your parent/guardian, your loved ones are expecting you to be on campus. The worst thing for them is to receive a phone call that something happened to their child or children in another state or another part of town that they had no idea you were there. So make it a courtesy call, strengthen a relationship, work on healthy relationships with your parents and your guardians by notifying them if you need to go off campus. It's a quick phone call, DM, voice message, FaceTime, whatever, so that they know if something happens to you, that they know where you are. And Life 360 and apps like that are not as accurate as a phone call or a text message, right? Don't get in anyone's car right away. And I say that because it's easy that once you find your tribe, you're like, hey, I'm just going to roll up to Walmart and roll up to Target and, we're going to this club off campus. Guess what? Everyone that gets behind the wheel of the car are subjected to the same thing. Influence, alcohol, driving while on their phones. They might not even have a legitimate license or insurance. And these aren't things you as a college student are going to ask, and you might be too embarrassed because you're like, they might think that they can't trust you. Guess what? Trust no one. So don't necessarily jump in a person's car. And if you do, and you're going off campus, make sure that the person's name, the make and model and tag of that car is shared with a parent. Safety first, everyone. And last but not least, travel in twos. As you're getting into your classes and you're creating a study time or a study group or a study buddy, you might be somewhere on campus while it's dark, or leaving out first thing in the morning when it's dark. Travel in twos, or at least make sure, if you can't travel in twos at that point, that someone is tracking you. Your best friend, somebody in your group, your sorority, your fraternity, that is keeping a pulse on where you are at all times. And as you travel, don't keep your face in your phone. Make wise decisions. We want to make wise decisions as much as possible. And how will we know if it's wise? What would my parents say? What would Jesus say? I don't know. Wise decisions that you feel comfortable with. If it's a decision that's making you internally feel uncertain or not as clear, more than likely not. Use your critical, analytical, and logical reasoning skills, right? To not be impulsive when you have to make a decision. And not all wise decisions are necessarily going to be positive, but then at least you can feel good about it. Get in a practice of making wiser decisions. And if a decision you made was not as wise, what did you learn from it? Right? Have these conversations with your mentors and your parents and your loved ones so that you can learn from the decisions you made in the outcomes. Don't follow the crowd, right? Following the crowd could end up in a lot of negative outcomes that are not in your best interest. So if there's a person or a group or whatever that you're not really feeling and you're getting bad vibes from, or the Holy Spirit of someone is trying to tap on your shoulder like, don't do that, don't go there, step back. Remove yourself, even if it's that one scenario. And guess what? It's going to be okay. Hey, I'm cool. Not right now. Like in this situation with my son, he said, I was interested in going, but it's the first day of school. I got class tomorrow, the middle of the week. It doesn't make sense. I'm a bounce. I'm not going to go. Don't follow the crowd. And last but not least, make connections daily, starting with your professors and department chairs. Everybody that you come in contact is a part of your network. And that network will grow your net worth. And if nothing else, your network will grow people that you have affiliations with that is genuine and authentic. So make connections every day. Check your school email daily. This is the one thing that is so vital to success, because if you go to an institution, anything like my children do, which that's almost all institutions, you are getting things through your school email that are of vital nature to your success, whether it's an internship, a career fair, a tutoring opportunity, a mentoring opportunity, a volunteer or engagement opportunity, job opportunities, just opportunities that you won't necessarily find out in the community or out in the real world, or having to research with the time that you don't already have. Check your school email daily, and don't just check it, be proactive in what pops up, right? The greatest thing about what opportunities is that you get in the habit of applying, and eventually one day that you're looking for something, it's going to come through in a positive manner. Really quick, an opportunity came through my son's email even before his new student orientation that fit perfectly within his repertoire of skill sets. And he got it at 16, making 4 figures monthly. I don't remember how long it took me to make 4 figures in a month, but it came through his email, and after discussion, we jumped on it and it panned out. Don't let an opportunity slip through your fingertips because you didn't check your email and you weren't responsive. Don't make excuses. I mentioned this before, but it's important. You have expectations. Your expectation is to graduate, get a degree, live on your own, move away from your parents, make your own money, get your own car. Keep in mind, stay laser focused on what you want, where you are, where you want to go, and close those gaps. Don't let anyone or anything stop you from getting and going after what you want. And be accountable and responsible for yourself and for what you're saying that you want. Talk is cheap. Don't talk about it, be about it. Make it happen. And don't take no for an answer. Don't sign up for anything without speaking to your mom or your parents first. I know you're like, but I'm grown. I am at college and I'm 18 and my parents aren't the boss of me. You're right. They're not the boss of you. However, they're seeing the bigger picture that you're not. If you're new to college or even a returning student, all you're thinking about is the semester. How am I going to get through this while making a grade, protecting my grade point average, applying for scholarships, and I got work study. Then I have a disability or I have accommodation. I'm not comfortable speaking to others. I'm not good in networking. I don't need nobody because I can do it by myself. All of these things. Guess what? Everything sounds good in theory when you're picking up this activity and this event, and then it's the reality of having to implement and execute it. It's only 24 hours in a day. 8 hours of those days you got to sleep. You got 16 hours left. So learn to partner with people that are interested in your well-being, in your growth and development. Those are your parents and even your mentors. Try not to sign up for anything without speaking to them first, so that you are allowing yourself to settle into your schedule successfully. Remember the setting a tone, part A, part B, part C, before midterm road to final? You're at that part A. And part A will or will not lead to a successful part B and a part C. But before you can even get to B and C, you got to settle successfully in part A. Allow yourself at the beginning of this new semester to get a grasp of what you'll be required to be accountable for. And if you are an honor student or a scholar that already requires extra beyond the classroom, those are things you already and you must consider because of your getting external help. So before you start jumping into everything else, take 2 weeks, a week at best, to at least go through the rotation, and then another week to settle into the rotation. And then don't join activities or commit to events that don't fit. Going back to the scenario, first day of school, first day of class at my son's school and my daughter, and there are parties on campus. For most students, it was a good fit. Maybe they didn't have 8 a.m. classes, or, maybe they've been able to balance sleep so far and their freedom. For my son and my daughter, nope. They was like, I'm cool because I have to be focused on Thursday and Friday. and they don't want to miss class, be late for class, or be asleep in class. So don't join activities or commit to events that don't fit. Now, we covered a lot, but we covered a lot, and not everything that was covered is going to manifest right away. So my first question to you is, what are key takeaways from this presentation that resonate for you? Don't cheat. Don't pause and go back. Think in terms of what we talked about: welcoming, setting a tone, establishing goals, tapping into resources, remaining focused. Now, what are some key takeaways from this presentation that resonated with you? Once you have answered that, now I want you to choose the one topic that you think will be tough to implement. And then explain why. Why is that one topic something that you like, man, it's going to be, whew, why? Only you can answer that. Then I want you to flip it. What is the one topic that is easiest to implement? I mean, I can do this. You're thinking like, I can do this right now. Within the next 24 hours, it's a go. And then why? Why is this, of all of the topics we discussed, the easiest to implement for you? Then once you're able to get through those three, I want you to answer yes or no to this fourth question. Are you ready to get assistance and working on the tough topic identified from number 2? What I want you to do once you've completed the answers to these 4 questions is to email your responses to info@dtdenterprises.com. In the subject line, I want you to put in getting in the right mindset. Include your name, email, and phone number. Our admin team will reach out to you and we'll take it from there. I want to thank you for your time in reviewing this presentation and getting in the right mindset, preparing for a successful semester. My name is Dr. Takima Dorsey, and I look forward to seeing you in the next webinar. Have a great, wonderful, and encouraging semester. And remember, you can always come back later on to pick up bits and pieces of the tidbits shared from today's webinar. Have a great day.